You're listening to Up From The Ground, a podcast by Assam.Stories. I'm your host Sukanya, bringing to you stories that you might have probably heard but deserves to be retold. In today's episode, we talk about the forest villages of Laika and Dodhia, how these villages came into being and how the inhabitants have lived in the midst of government apathy for over 7 decades now. The forest villages of Laika and Dodhia are situated inside the Dibru-Saikhowa National Park at a distance of around 12 kilometers from Dibrugarh. In administrative terms, Laika lies in Tinsukia district while Dodhia in Dibrugarh district. With a total population of around 10 to 12,000 belonging predominantly to the Missing tribe, the villages continue to live under constant uncertainty with problems ranging from floods to eviction. Laika comprises of 3 villages, Laika Rigby, Laika Pomua and Laika Pasidia, while Dodhia comprises of 4 villages, Dodhia Mohmora, Dodhia Sarihuti, Dodhia Kuligao and Dodhia Tengabari. Dodhia village originally was a part of the famed Romuria village which was devastated in the great earthquake of 1950 as the Brahmaputra changed its course. The local population was rehabilitated to its present location near the erstwhile Dibru Reserve Forest. The Forest Department established Laika with around 75 households in 1952 and Dodhia with around 90 households 4 years later on the condition that the residents would work for the department without any payment. A few development activities did take place in the 60s and 70s with the laying of a PWD road, a primary school and a health center. But in 1986, 640 square kilometers of the Dibru Reserve Forest was declared as Dibru-Saikhowa Wildlife Sanctuary. This is when things took a turn. In 1997, 125 square kilometers of area were added and the whole area was declared a biosphere reserve. Total 765 square kilometers, 425 square kilometers as buffer zone and 340 square kilometers as core zone. With Laika in the core zone and Dodhia in the buffer zone, the wildlife sanctuary became the Dibru-Saikhowa National Park in 1999. No consent of the local inhabitants was taken during the creation of this national park. As per the provisions of the Wildlife Protection Act 1974, no human activities or habitation could be situated inside the national park. Activities like grazing, agriculture or cultivation etc. are strictly prohibited. The inhabitants were stripped of their basic rights. Every year with the swelling of the Brahmaputra during monsoons, Laika and Dodhia are completely submerged in floodwaters, forcing the people to temporarily relocate. There is almost zero infrastructure, no electricity, no healthcare, no high schools and no all-weather roads. Relocation of the forest dwellers to nearby villages outside the boundary of the national park is often seen as encroachment and has resulted in violent conflicts. Though various state governments have promised relocations and rehabilitations, nothing concrete has been done so far. The villagers continue to demand and fight for their rights. The mainstream media also chose to turn a blind eye to the ordeal faced by the inhabitants. That's all for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. We look forward to your suggestions and criticisms. Write to us at storiesassam@gmail.com. This episode is available in all major podcast platforms including Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts and also YouTube. To like, share and subscribe and connect to us on Twitter at Assam.Stories and Instagram at stories.assam. Tune in every Friday for new episodes. Have a great week.